friends, I'm Betty Rage, your favorite nerdy goth mom, and this is Lashes and Lore, the show where I put on my makeup and talk to you about lore, story time. And today we are diving into the twisted, treacherous, and frankly, the absolutely fabulous history of one of D&D's most iconic villains, Vecna. He's more than just a lich with a penchant for collecting his own body parts. He's a king, a god, and a cosmic terror whose story has been retconned, revised, and rewritten more times than I've had to redo my eyeliner. That's a lot. So get ready to ask, what is Vecna's biggest scandal? Because we are about to unpack all of the conflicting origins of the Arch-Lynch himself. And if you're wondering what kind of undying secrets I'll be slathering all over my face today, the product list is in the description below. Because if we're gonna live forever like a lich, we should really look into having a great skincare routine. But before we get into the in-game lore, let's talk a little bit about the meta lore of it all. The inevitable story behind the story. Vecna's original existence was born of a supplement to the first edition of D&D, way back in 1976, where he was introduced as no more than just a footnote. And just a little T behind the T on this one, his name is actually an anagram of Jack Vance, a fantasy author who inspired the magic system in the game. So can you believe the audacity that for years, all that existed were his two most famous artifacts, the hand and the eye. He was a myth, a cautionary tale. These weren't just any old artifacts. The hand of Vecna was a desiccated, mummified hand that when you touched it, granted you immense strength and powerful spells. But there's always a catch to things like this. And the catch on this one is you have to cut off your own hand first. So rude. But I'm sure you can guess the eye of Vecna was even worse. A shriveled, corrupted eye that gave you foresight and necromancy, but only if you literally gouge out your own eye first and implant it. Maybe I should have had a trigger warning for today's episode. Sorry if that's a little gory for you. Vecna was an enemy that you didn't even have to fight in order to be completely destroyed by him. His remains were a test of greed, a warning against hubris. Then, in 1990, in a second edition adventure called Vecna Lives for the Greyhawk setting, he was finally given the backstory he deserves as a demigod. Then, a decade later, the final second edition adventure, Die Vecna Die, original, in 2000, had players fight him to prevent him from becoming a full-fledged god. So he's a villain whose story has been written, revised, and expanded with every new chapter of the game itself. Now that we have all that settled, let's get into the game lore itself. As his story expanded in the world of Greyhawk, we learned that Vecna was the most powerful necromancer to ever exist on the planet Oerth, creating a powerful empire where he ruled as a brutal Lich King. His fortress was a great tower that was made of bone, and all of his subjects were undead slaves. So not exactly a 5-star vacation spot. His thirst for power was insatiable. He made a deal with a cosmic entity and became a lich, transcending morality in order to gain more magical prowess. But as his power grew, so did the ambition of his most devoted lieutenant, Kas. Kas was not just some loyal servant. He was the one who commanded Vecna's armies. He was a true force of destruction in his own right. To reward Kas, Vecna gave him a powerful weapon, which is known as the Sword of Kas. Very literal, but it gets the job done. But this isn't just any old sword. It's, of course, sentient as well. And it began to whisper terrible things to Kas, fueling his jealousy and his madness. So turning him into the world's most toxic frenemy. And we all know that those relationships end so well for everyone in the end. The final battle between the two of them in the end was no squabble. No. It was cataclysmic. It was a world-altering event that literally shattered Vecna's fortress. It obliterated his physical body and left the land scarred for centuries. This is where we get the classic tragic story of betrayal that really cemented Vecna as the cautionary tale against hubris. Right, so this is where the lore gets kind of messy, darling. So as the game transitioned, the writers just decided that simply being a dead lich was just not enough for Vecna. So they turned him into a demigod, and then a full-fledged god of secrets and evil. So the story changed. Vecna, after his defeat by Kas, didn't just disappear. His consciousness, and whatever remained of him, was pulled into the bizarre and cosmic planes. There he existed as a fragment, a malevolent ghost, a piece of himself just wandering through the multiverse. What happened next? Well, he found a powerful portal, the maimed god. The legend has it that this portal was so powerful, it had the power to make its own user a deity. Catch on this one is that the user had to feed the portal. So, Vecna did what Vecna does best and sacrificed the rest of his body parts, the very hand and the eye we know so well today. And that is how he then ascended to godhood. Can you imagine the scandal of it all? The drama, the ultimate cosmic betrayal of himself. And let's be real, he loved every single second of it. But even as a god, he was secretive, paranoid, obsessed with controlling forbidden knowledge. And rightfully so, turning him into the god of secrets. Because after all, the most powerful truth is the one that you keep from everybody else. Which I think is brilliant, transforming him from a monster to a more complex philosophical villain. Good story. Now, in the current edition of D&D, we're presented with a new but familiar Vecna. He's firmly established as a god, but his origin story now takes on elements of his past incarnations. He's no longer strictly from Greyhawk, but rather now he's a character whose story has been woven into the tapestry of the entire multiverse. And now the Sword of Kas is the cause of the betrayal. The sword itself, a gift from Vecna to Kas, was corrupted with its own consciousness, which ultimately turned its wielder against its master, which kind of adds a whole new layer to the tragedy itself. It also will shift the blame from Kas's own ambition to an insidious magical influence. He is a villain who embodies the core themes of D&D history. He is that ultimate BBEG, the big bad evil guy, who isn't just a physical threat, but a cosmic one. Vecna is a constant, scheming presence, and his followers work tirelessly to find any forgotten secrets or artifacts to expand his power. So what is the truth about Vecna? Was he a Lich King of Oerth, a demigod who ascended through self-mutilation, a master of secrets driven by paranoia? Well, the answer is really all of that. The beauty of D&D lore, it's that it's a living, breathing thing that changes and adapts. Each new version of Vecna's story adds a new layer to his character, making him all the more terrifying and compelling. He's the original villain, a testament to the power of a single iconic idea, and a reminder that even in fantasy, the most dangerous secrets are often the ones that you keep from yourself. So we have our final look. I love those pinks and sparkles and glitter and all that. Anyway, make sure you join my free Patreon. The link is in the description below. So, if you haven't had enough Betty Rage, then maybe you can get a little more over there. Plus, it's just nice to be building a fun little community of nerds for me to love on. If you enjoyed this video, then I'm sure you'll enjoy the video that I did on Lolth over here. I'm Betty Rage, your favorite nerdy goth mom. This has been Lashes and Lore, where the eyeliner is deep, the lore is deeper, and the mom hugs are always free. Be good to each other, love each other, and as always, free mom hugs from me to you. Bye. I'll see you next time.